I worked for the Legal Services Commission for almost 2 years, and this whole job is all about processing data and generating reports. And the technologies was Microsoft Excel or Microsoft Access with Oracle backend. Now, the whole thing of the Legal Services Commission is about giving money away, because it's part of the British government, and so you get people who have all these legal problems. Now, some of them get arrested and they need to pay for their solicitor, and we don't have lawyers in the UK, that's an American term, it's solicitors or barristers and that. And there's also other expenses like translation costs and any sorts of expenses. Now, if you're arrested, you're guaranteed to get the money. If you're getting divorced, it really depends on different things as to whether or not you'd be allowed to get the money, because there was only £3 billion per year being given away. So some reasons it was compulsory, we always gave it away. Other reasons it's really different factors and that. Now, in the finance department, we would have to generate reports. Now, sometimes it's just a standard report, sometimes you get a question. A member of parliament asks a question that then means that data has to be processed and people have to then fill in all these details, and there's this huge database. Now, years before I started working there, they decided they would commission this big database, and there was another one, and they were both in Oracle. And as soon as they were finished, the people who built them left. There was no thing of keeping these people on. So it's an undocumented system and very complicated, and we had to do our queries on that system, and the system was managed by IT, and we were working in the finance department, and my boss was an accountant, and she would say, I want this report, here's the format, and we had to go find the data and just process the data. And we would have old reports where we knew one particular figure on this report, so we'd then have to double check that then worked there. And then at one point I was told, you just got to check all of the data in the system, all adds up. So I had 60 million records straight out of the system, and my task was to just reconcile the whole thing in 10 different steps, and so that was just one task. I had lots of other tasks, just generate this report, that report, and other reports, and it's just processing data in Access and Excel with writing SQL. Now, because we were in the finance department and not the IT department, we were not allowed to write stored procedures, and stored procedures is the best way of getting data out of such a large database. What we had to do is to write SQL statements that could be 4 pages of A4 or even 10 or 12 pages of A4, and the system was slow, and we were making the best use of all of the indexes and optimizing however we could. But because the system was so slow, they had a live system and a reporting system, so 3 times a week they would delete all of the data on one of their Oracle systems, copy over everything from a different database where people are entering data, and so we would just have one copy on our Oracle system, and then we'd have to run our SQL. And if our SQL took more than 2 days, and then it would get to the day when they copy over the system, and then the query would just die. So these are quite large queries, all connecting hugely complicated things where you've got one code means one thing on one report, and then it all gets connected and linked into other stuff. And so these queries really took a huge amount of time, and it had to be optimized just to finish within these 2 days. And so it was more a question of optimizing, going with queries in huge amounts of data, and then trying to do as much processing in Oracle before we then just do processing in Access or Excel, and very much analysing data kind of job.